Thank you for meeting with us. I just want to talk about basically first how our elections run in Moses Lake, because I know we're a little bit different than other cities because we go by electing council
Oh,
members and not the mayor.
okay, okay. Yes, so the elections actually are run through Grant County elections. So that's where you obviously upload the information about the candidates who are running, and um, all of our council members are elected at large, and we have a council manager form of government. And so when we talk about our council members being elected at large, there are some communities that elect their council members by district or ward. And so that's not currently the way that our elections run. All of the candidates who run for office run for a position, but that position represents the whole city.
When are elections for Moses Lake?
So currently, the filing period is open this week. And so there is a process through the state and available through the Grant County Elections website, all online. The period for filing closes, today's Friday, closes at 5 o'clock today. And then we will know who is running for each position. And of course, there are numerous positions throughout the county and state that are open. If we have more than two candidates file for each position, then we would have a primary election, and that would occur in August, which means that the however many candidates are filing for the office over two, it then gets pared down in the primary to the top two. And then those top two go forward for the general election, with those results coming in November.
And with all these people, running, and then of course Moses Lake is a new city for you, what do you think the top priority should be for the candidates coming in?
First of all, in looking at the filings that are occurring, we have multiple people running for each seat, which in a city or in any election process in a democracy, that is a good thing. It allows for us to make sure that the topics that are important to the community are talked about, and that the community understands the platforms of each candidate. Um, I am a new city manager, and I'm almost a year and a half into it. I would expect that the growth of the community will be a topic. How we grow and where we grow, I expect that to be a topic. Um, our relationships with the community, how effective we are at engaging in the community, and the voices that we listen to. So in my time here, we've been undergoing the process to update our overall comprehensive plan. We've done significant outreach with that. We've held a number of focus group meetings. And then in the last couple of months, I have been personally, now that COVID is in a place where we can have more in-person meetings, have been going out and talking with folks. And how our community grows and the sustainability of our community is on the minds of a lot of people. And I mean sustainability in terms of, number one, can we sustain the land mass that we're looking at in the unincorporated and incorporated areas of the city? Are the city's urban services ready to grow to service that? And then I've heard from a lot of citizens who are very concerned that growth is coming at the expense of our central core areas. For example, we still have areas in the oldest sections of our city that have gravel streets. And in my mind, that's not a city level of service. I would see that in a city, it should be a standard to have fully completed streets, sidewalks, and stormwater facilities And the reason why stormwater facilities are important is because our community is very concerned about the overall health of the lake. The condition of Moses Lake is impacted by the stormwater that drains into it. If we don't have development sites contained for blowing dust, etc., that dust settles in the lake. It fills the lake. The depth of the lake is causing it to warm, and it exacerbates the green algae issue that we're having. So those are a number of things that I've heard through the planning process, and I would expect that because all of this planning is getting updated, there are a number of candidates who have their stances on how Moses Lake should look and grow in the future.
You were talking about all like the sidewalks not being completed, the roadways not being completed. What if you could tell me like a daily life of like how the city council gets agendas like that passed so that they can become a reality?
So truly, the overall comprehensive planning process that we're going through right now is the roadmap for our city council. So what the overall comprehensive plan will do will say these are our goals and policies for how our community is going to grow, and these are the standards by which we want development to happen. And it not only impacts development that's coming, but it also, the plan would speak to revitalizing the developed areas that are already here. Staff then, city council will get that plan and they'll prioritize work. There will be a work plan that comes out of it because a part of the overall comprehensive plan is a capital facilities plan. So that capital facilities plan would say, here's all of the things that we need to put into place to achieve our growth plan. And those capital facilities include streets, sidewalks, fire stations, parks, our levels of service for police, etc. So the city council will be getting this information and they'll be able to weigh in on their expectations for how we want our city to perform. And that sets the work plan for our city staff moving forward. A great example with streets and sidewalks is on Tuesday's agenda, the city council agenda for Tuesday evening. The council will be setting a public hearing to accept the 6-year transportation improvement plan. So that plan should list all of the streets, sidewalks, trails that the city wants to see on the list for future improvement. And there will be a public hearing on that at the next meeting, June 8th. And the purpose of that public hearing is for the public to weigh in and say, oh, you missed a street. I want to make sure that my neighborhood is included. And so that's an example. Then that 6-year street plan then gets adopted, and then city staff, that's our work plan for the coming 6 years.
And then the city has seen dramatic, as we grow, we have seen dramatic situations and social issues pop up. One of the major ones was homelessness. You said it went through with, let's say, the road and then the sidewalks goes through a series of phases and public hearings. But when the city signed, I believe it was an order for the parks to be closed for camping. Is that a different process of communicating between the council without a public? Because they had a public hearing, but is it a different process, if that makes sense?
So they're all legislative processes. So they are all similar in that manner. And the comprehensive plan addresses this. There is an element of the comprehensive plan that's not only transportation, but also housing. And so obviously how we handle housing in the future impacts the homelessness in our community. And so the same processes that we use to establish our priorities, there will be a policy for expanding housing, types of housing and services for those most at risk for losing housing, et cetera. So that'll be in the comp plan. And then it is again up to the council to prioritize the needs and for city staff to bring forward programs that meet the intent. So when I arrived at the city council was well underway with developing a program to help in the effort in regards to homelessness. And so we implemented that, but it had the same kind of legislative process where all of the city council meetings are public meetings. And the expectation is that the agenda items that are there are open for public comment, regardless of whether there's a formal public hearing. Some of our processes do require a formal public hearing, but our city council members are there to work through an agenda and address various agenda items in a public setting so that the public knows what is occurring. Now, obviously with COVID, we had to work through a number of these processes remotely. I was proud of our city in the way that we quickly pivoted and went online and made our meetings accessible and continued the business of the city. We are a very busy city and we have a lot of catch up work to do. So I think I'm proud of the work that we've done in this time, despite having the COVID shutdowns.
So, what would you expect, or what would you tell a council member who's running? What should they expect when they become a council member? I know you said dedication, trust, and full awareness and willing to connect with the community. Anything else?
Well, so actually, there's a support organization for cities, the Association of Washington City, and they actually have training and handbooks for how to be an effective council member. And I think the thing in my long experience in city management, what I have found is that oftentimes there are those who will run for office and they will be focused on one particular issue, and people would say, oh, they're coming in with an agenda on one issue. And it for me is a really exciting process of once you get that newly elected person seated, then their eyes are open to the fact that they really are one of seven who are helping to provide guidance and oversight for a full service city. Essentially, we're a $100 million business. And so they may have one agenda. However, they will have to serve in a fair and unbiased manner in weighing in on multiple issues. And so I think for those who are running for office, coming in with an open mind, realizing that at first there's going to be a little bit of the fire hose effect, because I think city organizations are really complicated organizations and there are a lot of moving parts. And much of what we do is regulated. So we are an instrument of the state. We are we have our local ordinances and laws, but those are governed by the what is delegated by the state. And then in addition to that, there's additional requirements that are passed down from the federal government. So the learning curve once you get on council and realize how the work is directed is it's a fun process. I love the education process when we have newly elected people.
Well, thank you, Allison Williams, City Manager of Moses Lake, for being here with us today.
You are very welcome. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.